But explain the...
Okay, so I have it on good authority that Zia-ul-Haq, the president of Pakistan in the 80s, like throughout the 80s, used to start his days by opening the Quran and then pointing at a random passage and then reading it.
Right.
And that's his, like, fortune for the day.
Yeah. Like the beginning of Pee-wee's Big Adventure when he steps on the scale. And it weighs him and then tells him.
They are similar
Watch
people.
out.
They're similar characters. He is kind of like the Pee-wee of radical right-wing Pakistani politics. But, so I'm going to open this up.
Yeah, we got... Who was the translator? We were looking at the translator earlier.
We've got the... I think it's
the editor.
Abdullah Yusuf Ali translation of the Quran. And the general editor, Tom Griffith.
Yeah, shouts out.
Here we go. Alright, I'm opening
how do you do a truly random one?
You just kind of let the pages hit your fingers, and then you stop.
Okay. How long? You're going to do a whole...
It's not that long. I got a short one. O ye who believe, fear Allah and be with those who are true in word and deed.
Fear
Allah. Fear God and be with those who are true. Like...
in word and deed.
Your homies.
Yeah.
Ride for your homies, die for your homies.
Alright, let me try. That was a whole...
That was just one of the...
Oh, yeah. Hit two or three.
Yeah,
hit the whole section. I think he should hit the whole section.
Section 15.
As a warm-up. As a vocal warm-up.
It was not fitting for the people of Medina and the Bedouin Arabs of the neighborhood to refuse to follow Allah's messenger, nor to prefer their own lives to his, because nothing could they suffer or do, but was reckoned to their credit as a deed of righteousness, whether they suffered thirst or fatigue or hunger in the cause of Allah, or trod paths to raise the ire of the unbelievers, or received any injury whatever from an enemy, for Allah suffereth not the reward to be lost of those who do good. So, like, God will always...
Yeah,
you're going to get...
I get it.
Okay. Nor could they spend anything for the cause, small or great, nor cut across a valley. But the deed is inscribed to their credit, that Allah may requite their deed with the best, in parentheses, possible reward. That's the last piece of the section. Yeah. Nor should the believers all go forth together. If a contingent from every expedition remained behind, they could devote themselves to studies in religion and admonish the people when they return to them. That thus they, in parentheses, may learn to guard themselves, in parentheses, against evil.
So we should stay back? What's the contingent that's staying back?
The contingent from every expedition remain behind. Okay, yeah.
And they're going to admonish people.
Stay with your people, stay with the people.
I feel like one of our missions is to admonish.
Admonish the people when they return to them. One sec. I got it. Oh, I just got a text. I just got a text that said, "Oh, right, we have to warn a reprimand."
Yeah, admonishes. Yeah, you're
right.
Like kind of roasting them.
We have to be pissed at the people when they return.
And they haven't been studying.
You could be studying Islam right now, but you went out.
Right.
To go be a...
Whatever you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To do...
On this Saturday night.
You guys went bouldering without me, huh? Well, you could have been studying Islam.
Guess what? I was part of the contingent.
I was part of the contingent. I stayed back. You guys went
What is the expeditions, though? Yeah.
Well, I think, whatever. The expeditions are from,
just the original squads.
The word, the mosque.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, don't step away. Okay, so don't step away from your righteousness.
Yeah.
Stay in your zone. Stay in your lane.
Yeah. And we were in
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, Surah 9 at Tauba.
Probably.
At -TAWBAH. At Tauba.
At Tauba.
All right.
Let the pages talk to you. Do your thing. Andrew's flipping. He's flipping. His eyes
Everybody
are closed.
talks, babe. It started with a whisper. I can hear the chit-chat. All right. Section 3, Surah 6, section 3. Yeah, I'll hit all of section 3. It's a whole page.
Nice.
Who doth more wrong than he who inviteth a lie against Allah or rejecteth his signs? But verily, the wrongdoers never shall prosper. True. One day shall we gather them all together. We shall say to those who ascribe partners to us, where are the partners whom ye invented and talked about? There will then be left no subterfuge for them but to say, by Allah, our Lord, we were not those who joined gods with Allah. Behold, how they lie against their own souls. But the lie which they invented will leave them in the lurch. Of them there are some who pretend to listen to thee, but we have thrown veils on their hearts, so they understand it not, and deafness in their ears. If they saw every one of the signs, they would not believe in them, insomuch that when they come to thee, they but dispute with thee. The unbelievers say, these are nothing but tales of the ancients. Others, they keep away from it and destroy themselves. They keep away, but they only destroy their own souls, and they perceive it not. If thou couldst but see when they are confronted with fire, I'm gonna hit that again. If thou could see, but see when they are confronted with fire, they will say, would that we were but sent back.
I feel like when this was written, someone was saying this to me, I would just be like, is this about me? like, are you...
No,
you can just tell
everything.
Me,
you could see all of the signs and still...
Anyone who you're reading this to, it feels like you're
then,
under persecution.
Would we not reject the signs of our Lord, but would we be amongst those who believe? Yea, in their own eyes will become manifest what before they concealed. But if they were returned, they would certainly relapse to the things they were forbidden, for they are indeed liars. And they sometimes say, there is nothing except our life on this earth, and never shall we be raised up again. If thou couldst but see when they are confronted with their Lord, he will say, is not this the truth? They will say, yea, by our Lord. He will say, taste ye then the penalty, because ye rejected faith. Yep. Okay, yeah. Do not reject faith.
Bad move.
Do not.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
He
was pretty upset at that guy. Whoever that's about is...
Liars. Pretty much, yeah, liars who won't accept what's right before their eyes.
I just like to imagine someone having a really bad interaction in the town and then going home and writing all this about
and then I don't understand what this part... It just says, the cattle on top of this page.
That must be the chapter, yeah.
Why does it... I don't understand what the part... right. It's called the cattle.
Surah number 6, Al-Anyam is the cattle.
In the name... Yeah.
That's what it means.
The cattle.
Should we look at all of the... Yeah.
Those are good. Yeah, we got to look at the surahs for the...
Should we look at the table of contents and see what all the names are? The cattle. Because that's a good name. I mean, that's pretty...
Oh, yeah. Whoa, the clinging ghost. Wait.
Are some of these really short?
The clinging clot.
The clinging clot. The Knight of... What does that one say?
The Knight of Power of Honor.
Power or honor. Oh. Yeah, which one do you want? Which one's better?
I don't know. These are also... The surahs are good. I didn't know about the surahs, really. That they were numbered like this.
Yeah.
Each line is so short. Rending asunder. Yeah. Well, all right.
That can affect your day. What is that? What's your fortune on that one?
Yeah, definitely watch out for liars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Liars will have their own.
Mine was like hang out with the people who are truthful and
Yeah, it was more about community. Mine was more about.
Yours was more
rebuking liars.
Yours was aggressive.
Yeah. Mine
was like.
Well, keep that in mind when we get to the Russian fairy tales. I think a lot of that's going to come into play.
Right.
With the liars and community. But I have a bunch bookmarked, and then you can also just read any of the ones you want. But do you want to start one?
Sure, yeah. I'll go anywhere.
Let me see.
Anything, if you can find one that has a picture on it.
There's a lot of good pictures in this, yeah.
I'd love to have a picture element to help me out in breaking into one of these Russian stories.
Let me look. Does this one have a picture?
If not, it's fine. I can do any of them. I just saw a lot of pictures.
Okay, this one, yeah.
But have you done that one already?
No.
Okay, cool.
But it's like, is this picture related to the story that this is? You know what I mean? Is
right,
this
just
I don't know. But yeah, it's called The Wise Maiden and the Seven Robbers, you know?
Oh, right. The Wise Maiden and the Seven Robbers. Once upon a time, there was a peasant who had 2 sons. The younger one traveled, the elder stayed at home. Before the father died, he bequeathed all that he had to his elder son, and left nothing to the younger one, thinking that a brother would surely not wrong a brother.
Mm-hmm.
The elder son buried his father, and kept all the inheritance.
What?
The second son returned and wept bitterly on finding his father dead. His brother said to him, "Our father left everything to me alone." Yet this brother had no children, while the younger brother had a son of his own and an adopted daughter. So a lot on the younger brother's plate.
Yeah. I'm really wondering who the story is going to be.
I like how fast it's going.
A lot of stuff happens, yeah.
A lot of stuff just happened within one paragraph. I feel like we just watched 15 minutes.
And I feel like none of it's going to come into play in the rest of it at all.
Right. Because we're not even at the Wise Maiden and her 7 robbers. And so I wonder if she's maybe married to And so the elder brother took all of the inheritance, grew rich, and began to trade in precious goods. Nice. While the younger brother was poor, chopped wood, and carted it to market. His neighbors, pitying his poverty, took up a collection for him and offered him money to enable him at least to set himself up as a retail merchant. The poor man was afraid and said to them, "No, my good neighbors, I won't take your money, for I suffer losses in trade. Who will pay my debt to you?" Then 2 of his neighbors determined to give him money by a stratagem. One day, when the poor man went to get wood, one of these neighbors contrived to meet him by taking a detour and said, "I had just left the house for a distant voyage, when someone who owed me 300 rubles met me on the way and paid me. Now I don't know where to put the money. I don't want to return home, so please take it. Keep it for me. Or rather, trade with it. I won't be back for a long time. You can pay me later, little by little." So they're like tricking the poor man into taking some money?
Yeah. They're like giving him a loan. Noble. Yeah, they want to give him a loan, but he won't accept it. Or they want to give him a gift, and he's like, "I can't even handle the loan." And then they're like, "Okay, we'll give you a fake loan."
But it's just his neighbors, right? It's not.
Yeah, they all just care about him.
It's not his older brother. It is just his neighbors.
The neighbors know about the older brother, I think.
Yeah, they pity him.
Yeah, they pity him.
They're doing a pity money. Prank.
Take the
TikTok
pity
money. Prank. Pity money from
where you're actually being charitable.
This one poor guy. Yeah. Mr. Beast. The poor man took the money, brought it home, and was afraid that he might lose it, or that his wife might find it and spend it instead of his own money. He thought, and finally hid it in a wooden tub full of ashes. While he was away, traders who bought ashes and paid for them in goods came to his house. His wife exchanged the tub of ashes for some goods. When the husband returned and saw that the tub was gone, he asked the wife, "Where are the ashes?" The wife answered, "Oh, I sold them to the traders." He was frightened and very unhappy, but kept silent nonetheless.
Dang.
His wife.
Wait, so he had a bunch of ashes, and then these guys
threw a bunch of money in the ashes.
"Hey, we buy ashes. Do you have any ashes we could buy?"
Yeah, they needed the ashes, yes.
Just some ash traders.
I don't know what they needed the ash
I'm an ash
for.
trader by trade. I mainly gathered ash.
Yeah, it was a wooden tub full of ashes, so maybe they wanted the tub as well. Maybe it was like a litter box situation.
Yeah.
His wife saw that he was sad. She began to press him or tell her what misfortune had befallen him and why he was so distressed. He confessed that some money that did not belong to him was hidden in the ashes. His wife grew angry, shouted, and wept. "Why didn't you trust me?" she said. I would have hid the money in a better place."
Whoa.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, duh. If you'd known.
Women are better at hiding money.
Yeah, that's true.
I think.
Again, the peasant went for wood to sell at the market so that he might buy bread. Another of his neighbors overtook him, told him the same thing as the first, and gave him 500 rubles. They keep pitying this man.
They're like, "All right, just go do it again."
oh, dude, I just found these Nike Airs. You need to put these on.
And then it's also like, are these people really going on a really long trip?
Yeah.
And it's like, did they already have this trip planned? Or are they just fake leaving?
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I guess it's just most trips are long.
I found these Nike Airs, and you need to wear them to school tomorrow, dude. I think you have to wear these to school tomorrow. They look so cool. And I just found them in the woods. The poor man refused to take them, but the neighbors forced the money into his hands and rode away.
Nice.
The money was in bills. Our poor man thought and thought about where to put it, and finally stuck it under the lining of his cap. He came to the forest, hung his cap on a pine tree, and began to chop wood. As ill luck would have it, a raven snatched his cap with the money in it and flew away. The peasant was sad, but resigned himself to his fate. He lived as before, traded in wood and other cheap things, and somehow struggled along. Wow, he's really set in his ways. He's stuck in the poverty trap.
Yeah, the raven took his money. What'd the raven do with it?
Dude, here's some money. Go get 5 Guys instead of McDonald's today. I dropped $2 down the drain, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta go to McDonald's instead. The neighbors waited for some time and then realized that the poor man's lot had not improved. They asked him, "Are you unsuccessful in your trade, brother? Or are you afraid that you will lose our money? If so, better give it back to us." The poor man wept and told them how he had lost the money. Then his neighbors did not believe him. And they brought the matter to court.
No.
Oh, this is getting really bad for you. All he had was the neighbors. They were his only lifeline. His support system is betraying him.
He's got his
now.
wife still.
They're taking him to court. How shall I decide this case, thought the judge. The peasant is a peaceful man, but penniless. He has nothing that can be taken from him, and if I send him to prison, his family will die of starvation. Oh yeah, he has 2 kids. He has 2 kids and a wife.
Right.
The judge was sitting by the window, sunk in meditation, when he was distracted by some boys playing in the street. One of the boys, an alert little fellow, said, "I will be the burgomaster. You come to me with your cases, and I will judge them." He sat on a stone. Another boy approached him, bowed to him, and said, "I loaned money to this peasant, and he has not paid me back. I have come to your honor to complain about him." "Did you borrow money from him?" the burgomaster asked. The defendant, "I did." "Then why don't you pay it back?" "I have nothing to pay, little father." He calls him little father.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Really? In Russia?
Little uncle, little father. In these things. I don't know. In this book.
Cool. Little father. Little daddy.
Poppy.
"Listen, plaintiff. Since the defendant does not deny having borrowed money from you, and since he cannot pay, extend the term of the debt for 5 or 6 years. By that time he may come into money, and if so, he will repay the debt with interest. Do you agree?" Well, this is how you buy a car. The 2 boys bowed to the burgomaster and asked, "Thank you, little father, we agree." The judge heard all
Dang,
this.
is the judge going to do what those little kids
Yeah,
did?
it seems like he's probably going to be influenced by this. All these shenanigans happening outside the window.
These little kids
These
doing
little
a play.
kids are doing pretty huge moves. The judge heard all this, was overjoyed, and said, "This boy has enlightened me. I will tell my plaintiffs to give the poor men an extension of time." Upon his advice, the rich neighbors agreed to wait for 2 or 3 years, and hoped that by then the peasant would have bettered his lot. The poor man again went to the forest for wood and chopped half a cartful, and then night came. He's back in the poverty trap.
He loves chopping wood.
He remained in the woods, intended to return home in the morning with a full cart. He wondered where he could spend the night. The forest was deserted and teeming with wild beasts.
I bet he's going to find a treasure soon.
You think so?
I bet he's about to find a treasure.
Okay, good prediction to make. I read ahead a little. Oh, I just see the words silver and gold. Who knows what that means, though?
Yeah.
So he thought, if I lay beside my horse might devour me. That's what it says in here. So he needs to find somewhere to sleep. He went deeper into the thicket and climbed into a big pine tree.
The horse is hungry.
Yeah. At night, 7 robbers came there and said, "Open, open, little gate." At once a little gate leading underground opened. The robbers carried in their loot, and when all was hidden, said, "Close, close, little gate." The gate closed, and the robbers left to get more loot. The peasant saw all this.
Yes.
When everything around him was quiet, he climbed down from the tree, thinking, "Let me try. Maybe the gate will open for me too." He had sooner said, "Open, open, little gate," than it opened. He had no sooner said. Right. He entered the cave and saw piles of gold, silver, and all sorts of other valuable objects lying around. The poor man rejoiced, and at daybreak began to drag away the bags of money. He threw away his wood, loaded his cart with silver and gold, and hastened home.
Hastened.
Okay. His wife went out to meet him. "Oh, little husband." They love that. I know.
Husbandushka.
My little guy. Oh, okay. "Oh, little husband, I nearly died of grief worrying about you. I thought that a tree had crushed you, or that wild beasts had devoured you." But the peasant said happily, "Cheer up, my good wife. God gave me luck. I found a treasure. Help me carry these bags." After the bags were carried in, he went to his rich brother, told him about everything, and invited him to accompany him on another trip to the cave. This kind of happens in Fargo with Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
The brother agreed. They went together. I'm imagining
This
Ewan
is exactly
McGregor.
about the brother and the birthright,
Right,
and
right,
he treated him
yeah.
out of the birthright.
I'm imagining
It's also
is the little
biblical.
brother.
There's Jacob and Esau. He tricks
Fargo's-
that guy.
Fargo's usually biblical.
He tricks his brother, his dad, into thinking he's his brother, and he gets all his birthright.
The brother agreed. They went together to the woods, found the pine tree, and cried, "Open, open, little gate," and the little gate opened. They set out, dragging out bags of money. The poor brother filled his cart and was satisfied, but the rich brother could not tear himself away. "Well, little brother, you go home. I shall soon follow you." "Very well, but don't forget to say, 'Close, close, little gate.'" "I won't." The poor man laughed.
Well, the raven's gonna fucking come in there.
But the rich man could not get enough of the treasure. It was impossible to take everything at once, and to leave it was a pity, right? Night overtook him in the same place. The robbers arrived, found him in the cave, and cut off his head. They removed their bags from the cart, put the slain man in it, lashed the horse, and set it loose. They didn't have to lash the horse. The horse ran out of the woods and brought him home. The robber chieftain chided the robber who had killed the rich brother. "Why did you kill him prematurely? You should have asked him first where he lived, for how much of our goods is missing, and probably he stole it. How can we find it now?" The chieftain's assistant said, "Let the man who killed him look for him." Look for the other? What's he saying? What do you think?
The guy that's the robber that killed the brother, he
Yeah.
has to go find where all the treasure is.
That's what I thought.
Homeboy took.
Shortly afterward, the murderer began to scout for the gold. He came to the poor man's little store. He bought a thing or two, noticed the storekeeper was dejected, and asked him, "Why are you so sad?" He answered, yeah, this does happen in Fargo. He talks like this is what they do in Fargo. They always, some guy just like asks the most on-the-nose question about what's going on in his personal life, and it's like, "So the series of misfortunate events that just happened to me in the last 2 weeks." And the guy's like, "Oh, I did all that stuff." "I had an elder brother, but misfortune came. Someone killed him. The day before yesterday, his horse brought him home with his head cut off, and he was buried today." The robber saw that he was on the right track, and pretending to be very sorry, began to investigate. Upon learning that the slain man had left a widow, he asked, "Has his widow at least a roof over her head?" "Oh yeah, she has a big house." "Where?" "Show it to me." The peasant showed him his brother's house. The robber took... I think I know who the maiden is. I just cracked who the maiden is with the seven thieves. The peasant showed him his brother's house. The robber took some red paint and marked the door. That's not... It's a little suspicious.
I have spray paint.
I just sprayed
I'm
the
just-
X on the... "Oh, this is where your brother used to live." "What are you doing that for?" the peasant asked.
Oh, what's with that paint?
He answered, "Oh, I want to help the widow, and I have made that sign in order to find her house more easily." Brother, my sister-in-law needs no help. Thank God she has enough of everything." And then he asks, "And where do you live?" "Here's my hut." The robber made the same sign on his door too. "And what is that for?" "I like you very much," said the robber. "The next time I come here, I will stop at your house to spend the night. Believe me, brother, you will profit by it." The robber returned to his band, related all that had happened, and they decided to rob and kill everyone in the houses of the two brothers and recover their gold. Whoa. Right. That seems like the right move from the robber.
Yeah, the bad guys are smart.
I'm doing a Zillow listing, and they show me the house, and I go, "Oh, this is nice." And big red X on the front door. I cut my hand and put my blood on it. Meanwhile, the poor man came home and said, "I have just made the acquaintance of a young fellow who smeared my door with paint and said that he would stop in my house to spend the night whenever he was in the village. He is so kind-hearted. How sorry he was for my brother-in-law. How he wanted to help my sister-in-law." His wife and son listened in silence, but his adopted daughter said to him,
"Oh, there's the wise man."
The adopted daughter, she's the wise man.
The wise man.
"My father, didn't you make a mistake? Perhaps the same robbers who killed my uncle have now discovered that their gold is missing and are trying to find us. Now they may come and rob us, and you won't escape death." The peasant was frightened.
Well, this is such a Fargo situation. Not a lot of the other ones have involved like treasure that the guy finds, or No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Sort of
it's
Coen
cool
Brothers situation.
His adopted daughter is the wise one.
Yeah, of course. Well, everybody else is so dumb.
So stupid, yeah,
they're dumb in the blood.
The peasant was frightened. That is quite possible. After all, I never saw the man before. What a misfortune. What shall we do? His daughter said, "Take some paint and smear the same sign on all the doors of the
Yes!
The peasant did this. When the robbers came, they could not find anything. They went back and thrashed their scout for not having made the sign properly. Finally, they decided that they had been outwitted by a clever person, and after a while prepared 7 barrels. They put a robber in each of them, except one that was filled with oil." Whoa.
So they have 8 barrels.
They're about to do this is heist mode. We've got
8 barrels.
We've got 8 barrels. One of them has to be filled with oil, and we're gonna have a guy in every other barrel.
I don't know what kind of oil.
I don't know if it's like flammable oil or like the farmer scout took these barrels straight to the poor brother's house. He arrived at sunset and asked whether he could stay overnight. The poor brother welcomed him as a friend. The daughter went to the yard and began to inspect the barrels. She opened one and found oil. She tried to open another but could not. She put her ear to it and heard someone stirring and breathing inside.
I look in the barrel. What do I find? You see someone staring at you and breathing inside. Shit.
She thought. That's an evil ruse. She came into the house and said, "Father, we must treat our guest. I will make a fire in the stove and prepare something for supper." "Very well," the poor man said. The daughter made a fire in the stove, and while cooking supper, she boiled water and poured it into the barrels, thus scalding the 6 robbers to death. Whoa. Her father and his guest ate supper, and the daughter... So she went to each barrel and scalded them to death? Is that what it is?
What did she heat up on the stove?
Water.
Yeah, I think she's just putting a little... There's like a cork maybe in the barrel that you can uncork, and then you pour that in there.
Yeah, and she's just opening the cork, burning them
just cooking them in the barrel,
and
then just the cork back on.
Just keeps on doing
it. Apparently their escape hatch didn't work. However, they were planning to get out of the barrels.
Didn't really work out.
They didn't. She kind of outwitted
or they just got scalded right away. And
maybe she's like sitting on top of the barrel, and so you can't get out if she's like sitting on top
on
of
it.
it.
That would make sense physically. No, when the host went to bed, the guest went into the yard and whistled. No one answered. He approached the barrels, and steam came out of them. That's like cartoonish. This is very cartoonish. The robber guessed what had happened. Of course. He opens the barrel, steam comes out, he immediately puts the lid back on.
Okay, they've all been burned to death.
He harnessed his horses and left with the barrels. The daughter closed the door, went to rouse her family, and told them what she had done. Her father said, "Well, little daughter, you saved our lives. Now be my son's lawful wife." Okay. So he's like, "You're my adopted daughter, so marry my real son."
Perfect.
That makes sense.
Smartest move.
And her fears came true. Oh, she didn't like that.
No.
Oh, wait. Never mind, I skipped it. Now be my son's lawful wife. There was a gay feast and a wedding. They had a big gay feast and a wedding. The young bride kept telling her father that he should sell his old house and buy a new one, for she was very much afraid of the robbers who might return sooner or later. But I thought she killed 6 of them.
There's just that one guy, right?
Yeah. Well, now her fears come true. After some time, the same robber who had come with the barrels disguised himself as an officer, came to the peasant's house and asked whether he could spend the night. He was admitted. No one guessed anything, but the young bride recognized him and said, "Father, this is the same robber who came before." "No, my daughter, it's not."
They never believe him.
She did not answer, but when bedtime came, she put a sharp axe beside her and stayed awake all night watching. In the middle of the night, the pretended officer rose, took his saber, and was about to cut off her husband's head. She did not lose her presence of mind, but swung her axe and cut off his right hand. Then she swung again and cut off his head. This is like the new season of Fargo. It's like season 5.
Oh, man.
Her father now realized that his daughter was really very wise. He followed her advice, sold his old house, and bought himself a hostelry. He moved into his new residence and began to prosper and increase his trade. His neighbors, the same who had given him money and later sued him in court, stopped at his hostelry. "Hey, how do you happen to be here?" "This is my house. I bought it recently." "It's a magnificent house. Apparently you are in money. Why don't you pay your debts?" The host bowed and said, "Thank God. The Lord has been good to me. I found a treasure, and I'm ready to pay you even threefold." "Very well, brother.
Threefold?
Let us now celebrate the housewarming. You are welcome." So they had a good time. That's how every story should end.
So they had a good
time. But there's one more paragraph.
Oh, dang. One of them had such a good ending where it was like, and apparently it's one of the traditional Russian endings, and it's something about like, "And I was there, and I was drinking beer, and it ran down my mustache and onto my shirt." Or something about how you're drinking, like you were there. The person who's telling the story was there, and that they drank the beer, and then it ran down their mustache.
That sounds like a good ending to a story.
Yeah, and you're like, shit, wow.
And
so I know it's
drank
true.
my milk, and my Oreo fell in the milk, and I had a good day. And there's
Well, he wasn't in the story the whole time until the end.
Who,
when he
the
was
guy?
at the party. Whoever was telling the story or whatever. And it's like, and they live happily ever after.
Okay.
But you're like an old Russian man. And so when you're telling the story, you're like, "And I was there."
It's like a frame narrative reveal or whatever.
Kinda, yeah. But it's like out of nowhere.
Right. Oh, there's that one Japanese short story that I really dig. You should read that. That one's really good. It's the human chair.
Oh, yeah.
I was telling you about that. That one does like that kind of thing.
Nice.
But like 3 times. Like a bunch.
I bet, yeah.
Real frame.
Grandpa rules.
Reveal. And near the house there was a beautiful garden. "May we look at your garden?" "With pleasure, gentlemen. I will accompany you." They walked and walked in the garden, and in a remote corner found a tub full of ashes.
What?
When the host saw it, he gasped, "Gentlemen, this is the same tub that my wife sold." "Oh, let's see whether the money is not in the ashes." They shook the tub and found the money. Then the neighbors believed that the peasant had told them the truth.
Right, and they
"Let
took him
us
to court.
examine the trees and the wood," they said. "The raven who snatched the cap must have built a nest in it." They walked and walked, saw a nest, pulled it down with hooks, and there was the cap. They threw out the nest and found the money. The host paid his debt to his neighbors and began to live in prosperity and happiness.
Wow. I didn't think that we were going to find out what happened.
So he was proved honest as well.
Yeah.
Not only
that's
did they
important.
have a good time at the wedding party vibes, and
But they also had the
personal
ash.
space.
The ashes tub was there. Why was
whole-
the ashes tub there?
They, I don't know. That part was really I don't remember.
The
that
ashes
being
tub
part
was
of
crazy.
The ashes tub being at the hostelry is not really what I saw coming. I couldn't have predicted that. But they checked on the Raven too, and they found the money there.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Damn, he really was trying to be."
He was 100.
He was
keeping it 100.
honest man. Yeah. Wow. That was a
Pretty
good
good,
one.
right?
That was a really good one. That was the maiden and the 7
Robbers. 7 robbers, yeah.
That was insightful, really.
Alright. Okay, I'm gonna hit one. I got still in the Russian book. We didn't say this time, but it's the Russian fairy tales book from the Pantheon Fairy Tale and Folklore Library by Alexander Afanasyev.
It's the most comprehensive collection of classic Russian.
How do you say? How would you say his name? I'm really bad at saying it.
Afanasyev.
Alexander Afanasyev.
I don't know Russians.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah. We got the full collection, yeah. But it's got cool drawings in it.
Let's see your story. What's your story called?
The Bold Knight, the Apples of Youth, and the Water of Life.
Wow. The Dark Knight, the Tree of Life.
Yeah, he's a bold knight. Yeah. A certain king grew very old, and his eyes began to fail. He heard that beyond the 9th land, in the 10th kingdom, there was a garden with the apples of youth, and in it a well with the water of life. If an aged man ate one of those apples, he would grow young, and if a blind man's eyes were bathed with that water, he would see. That king had 3 sons. So he sent his eldest forth on horseback to find that garden and bring him the apples and the water, for he wanted to be young again and to see. The prince set out for the distant kingdom. He rode and came to a pillar. On this pillar, 3 roads were marked. If he followed the first, the marker said his horse would be sated and he himself would be hungry. If he followed the second, it said he would lose his own life. If he followed the third, it said his horse would be hungry and he himself sated.
Right.
And that's when you're not hungry?
Sated? I think sated is when you're full.
Yeah, not
you're
hungry.
Like, you're good.
One of you is not. So the first one.
It's like your horse or you. Pick your
The
horse.
first one, the horse isn't hungry.
So it's like.
But you are hungry. I'd probably pick that one. The one where your horse isn't hungry. Because you have to ride him.
I think you're supposed. Yeah, the foolish thing would be to pick the one where your horse is hungry.
I think you're probably supposed to pick the one where you.
I feel like the moral of most Russian stories would be like your horse is important.
Probably. Yeah, the horse is probably going to be crucial.
It's either you're like your horse is mildly annoyed, you're mildly annoyed, or you kill yourself.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 options.
Okay, so he thought, and finally took the road that promised food for himself.
Oh, yeah, that's a foolish
And
mistake.
he rode till he saw a very beautiful house in a field.
Okay.
He approached it, looked all around, opened the gates, did not doff his cap nor bow his head, and galloped into the yard. The owner of the house, a widow who was not very old, called to the young man, "Welcome, dear guest." She led him in, seated him at the table, prepared all sorts of viands, and brought him large beakers of heady drinks. Watch out. Watch out for large beakers of heady drinks. The young man regaled himself and lay down to sleep on the bench. He's already sleeping on the bench? The woman said to him, "It is not fitting for a knight, nor honorable for a gallant man to lie alone. Lie with my daughter, the beautiful Dunya."
Oh.
He was quite pleased with this proposal. Dunya said to him, "Lie closer to me, so that we will be warmer." He moved toward her and fell through the bed. In the cellar into which he fell, he was compelled to grind raw rye all day long, and he could not climb out.
No, not the cellar.
In vain, the king waited and waited for his eldest son to come back. Dang, so he was gonna lay next to the lady, but
he got like Hansel and Gretel.
He rolled over the bed, and the bed was like fake, and he went into a cellar where they make him grind rye all day.
Right.
That happened so fast.
He's like in a sweatshop. He got transported.
Yeah,
because he fell for the trick.
The rye guys got him, and then the king's still waiting for him. Finally, he gave up waiting.
Okay, the king.
Yeah, the king gave up waiting.
And that's the end of the story.
No. Then he sent his second son to get the apples and the water.
Okay.
The prince took the same road and suffered the same fate as the elder brother.
Oh, so they're both in the cellar.
So fast. From long waiting for his sons, the king became very sad. Now the youngest son began to beg his father's permission to go forth and seek the garden, but his father absolutely refused to let him go, and said to him, "A curse is on you, little son. Your older brothers perished on this quest, and you, who are still a tender youth, will perish even sooner than they." But the young prince kept imploring his father, and promised him that he would bear himself more bravely for the king's sake than any brave knight. His father thought, and finally gave the boy his blessing for the journey. On his way to the widow's house, the young knight passed the same pillar as his older brothers had. He too came to the widow's house, dismounted from his horse, knocked at the gate, and asked whether he could spend the night there. The widow received him kindly, just as she had his brothers, and invited him in, saying, "Welcome, unexpected guest."
He's not an adopted brother, is he? He's just a brother?
He's the same way.
But
maybe they'll all team up when they're in
this was
the
an
rye
adopted
cellar.
brother, this would go so differently.
Yeah, he would probably
He'd be so smart. Adopted kids are so smart.
Yeah. She bade him to sit down at the table and placed all kinds of meat and drink before him, enough to stuff himself. He ate his fill and asked whether he might lie down on the bench. The woman said to him, "It is not fitting for a knight, nor honorable for a gallant man to lie alone. Lie with my beautiful Dunya." But he answered, "No, little aunt, a visitor must not do that without first making a certain preparations. Why don't you heat up a bath for me and let your daughter lead me to the bathhouse?" Wow. So the widow prepared a very, very hot bath and led him to the bathhouse with the beautiful Dunya. Dunya was just as wicked as her mother. She made him go in first, locked the door to the bath, and stood in the hall. But the bold knight pushed open the door and dragged Dunya with him into the bathroom. He had 3 rods, one of iron, one of lead, and one of cast iron. And with these rods he began to belabor the young girl. She wept and implored him to stop, but he said, "Tell me, wicked Dunya, what have you done with my brothers?"
Well, and this is in the bathhouse?
Yeah, he's in the bathhouse and he has all these rods with her. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing with the rods. She said, yeah, he's imploring her with the rods.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like, it sounds like he's hitting her.
Seems fucked up. Then only did, she said that they were in the cellar grinding raw grain.
Well, to be fair, she's wicked.
Yeah, she's just as wicked as her mother.
She's just as wicked as her mother.
She's not like...
So...
Yeah, earlier we were thinking, okay, maybe Dunya's probably cool.
But
she's just her mom's making her do it. No.
She's just a slaver. She's just a slaver, just like her mom.
Yeah, they're gonna trap the cool knights.
And make them do slave work for them.
She said that they were in the cellar grinding raw grain. Then only did he let her go. They came back into the main room, tied one ladder to another, and freed his brothers. He told them to go home, but they were ashamed to appear before their father because they had laid down with Dunya and had failed in their mission. So they wandered about in the fields and woods.
Dad's
what if
totally
y'all all went and helped each other? Like, why would you not team up?
Man, Dad will know that you slept with Dunya. Dad's gonna know that we slept with Dunya, man. We can't go back there.
Nah, man. They should have all teamed up.
Definitely. They should have lied to their dad.
The night went on. He rode and rode till he came to a farmhouse. He entered. There sat a pretty young girl weaving towels. He said, "God bless you, pretty maiden." And she answered, "Thank you. What are you doing, good night? Are you running away from an adventure, or are you trying to find one?"
Whoa. I've been asked that before. That's a good Tinder bio. Are you running away from an adventure, or are you trying to find one?
I'm like, I'm running away. "I'm trying to carry out a mission, pretty maiden," said the knight. "I am going beyond the 9th land to the 10th kingdom to a certain garden where I hope to find the apples of youth and the water of life for my aged blind father." She said to him, "It will be hard, very hard, for you to reach that garden. However, continue on your way. Soon you will come to the house of my second sister. Go in, see her. She knows better than I how to find the garden and will tell you what to do." So he rode and rode till he came to the house of the second sister. He greeted her just as he had the first, and told her who he was and where he was going. She bade him leave his horse with her and ride on her own two-winged horse to the house of her older sister, who would tell him what to do, how to reach the garden, and how to get the apples and the water. So he rode, I don't know.
Let's keep going.
So he rode and rode till he came to the house of the third sister. She gave him her four-winged horse and told him, "Be careful, in that garden lives our aunt, a terrible witch. When you come to the garden, do not spare my horse. Spur him strongly so that he clears the wall at one bound. For if he touches the wall, the strings with bells that are tied to it will sing out. The bells will ring, the witch will awaken, and you won't be able to get away from her. She has a horse with 6 wings. Cut the tendons under his wings so that she cannot overtake you." Bro, you have to cut the tendons on the wings.
Do not let your...
Bro, there's so much animal abuse in these.
Your four-winged horse alert the ring cam.
Yeah. Stab the horse so hard so that he goes over in one bound. He did this. He did as she bade him. He flew over the wall on his horse, but his horse lightly touched one string with his tail.
Not hard enough.
All the strings sang and the bells rang, but softly. The witch awoke, but did not clearly distinguish the voice of the strings and the bells, so she yawned and fell asleep again. And the bold knight galloped away with the apples of youth and the water of life. He stopped at the houses of the sisters where he changed horses and darted off to his own kingdom on his own horse. Early next morning, the terrible witch discovered that the apples and the water had been stolen from her garden. At once she mounted her 6-winged horse, galloped to the house of her first niece, and asked her, "Has someone passed by here?" The niece answered, "A bold knight was by here, but that was long ago."
But that was long ago.
I added the and.
Okay. It sounded cool.
"A bold knight went by here, but that was long ago." The witch galloped on farther and asked her second and third niece the same question, and they gave her the same answer. She rode on and almost overtook the bold knight, but he had reached his own land and no longer feared her. There she dared not enter.
Right, I'm on my own
Classic
land.
witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, witches can't come to my kingdom. She only looked at him, and in a voice hoarse with spite said, "You are a fine little thief! You have succeeded very well in your mission. You got away from me, but nothing will save you from your own brothers." Having thus foretold his fate, she returned home.
Whoa, we just heard about brothers and money. Brothers and money.
Man.
It gets fucked up.
It's bad, man. Our bold knight went on his way in his own land and found his vagabond brothers sleeping in a field. He set his horse loose, did not awaken his brothers, but lay down beside them and fell asleep. The brothers awoke, saw their brother had returned to his own land, softly took the apples of youth out of his breast pocket, and threw him, like THREW, like throwing him.
Okay.
And threw him, still sleeping, over a precipice. Like a cliff.
Yeah.
He fell for 3 days.
You just kept tumbling.
Till he reached the dark kingdom where people do everything by firelight.
Whoa.
Wherever he went, he found the people sad and weeping. He asked the cause of their sorrow and was told that their king's only daughter, the beautiful princess Paliushna,
Right.
was to be given the next day to a terrible dragon who would eat her up.
Right. That was good. I kind of got that part.
Yeah, I thought they could just
They could
be
do
friends.
like Khaleesi stuff.
Yeah. In that kingdom, they explained, a maiden was given to the 7-headed dragon every month. That was the law.
That is the law.
That was the law. That's what it says. And now it was the turn of the king's daughter. When our bold knight heard this, he went straightway to the king and said to him,
Yo, king.
King, I will save your daughter from the dragon, but later you must do for me whatever I ask of you. The king was overjoyed, promised to do anything for him, and to give the princess to him in marriage.
Right.
Maybe I should see what she wants to do. The next day came. The beautiful Princess Paliusha was led to a 3-walled fortress on the edge of the sea, and the knight went with her. He took with him an iron rod that weighed about 200 pounds.
It's a pretty heavy rod.
That's maybe more of a mace or something. He and the princess waited there for the dragon. They waited and waited. And while they waited, they conversed.
Right.
He told her about his adventures.
This is romantic.
And said that he had the water of life with him.
This is like the rom-com moment.
Then the bold knight said to the beautiful Princess Paliusha, "Pick the lice out of my head, and should I fall asleep before the dragon comes, waken me with my rod. Otherwise you will not arouse me."
You beat the shit out of me to wake me up. Otherwise,
With
I'm not
my
gonna
huge
wake up.
rod, yeah. I
With my
don't.
200
How is she
pound
going to be
rod.
able to wield the rod?
I think she just has
How
to
much
poke
lice is in his head? How many lice are in his head?
him. Takes him that. Yeah, he passes, she picks up 2 and he's asleep.
Yeah, he's like.
He's cocked. He's out.
She began to look for lice in his hair. He fell asleep.
Right. It's very calming.
The dragon flew inshore and circled above the princess. She tried to waken the knight by shaking him, but did not hit him with his rod, as he had asked her to do.
Idiot. That's
For she did not wish to hurt him.
Oh, okay. That's sweet.
She could not waken him and began to weep. A tear dropped on his face, and he woke up
Whoa.
and exclaimed, "Oh, you have burned me with something pleasant." Meanwhile, the dragon had begun to swoop down on them.
Oh, you burned me with something pleasant. What a nice surprise to wake up to. What? Whoa.
Oh. The knight took up his 200-pound rod,
Right.
swung it, and at one stroke knocked off 5 of the dragon's heads.
Right, it's a 7-headed dragon, right?
He swung back a second time and knocked off the remaining 2.
I don't know why they had to make that too.
He gathered up all the
they
heads,
could have just made
put
that
them
one.
under the wall, and cast the monster's trunk into the sea.
It's like they just nerfed the rod. They just made the rod like not as powerful as it could be.
Yeah, it can't. Well, I mean, it's a very powerful dragon.
It's a 7. They needed it. Yeah.
They were like, it's got so many heads.
The rod
Otherwise,
can
it
only
might as well
take
just
off-
have one head.
Right. It needs to have 2 swings for
Yeah.
to kill the dragon.
And it got a lot on the first swing.
He
It
got
probably
5.
could. If it was a 10-headed dragon, I bet he could have got
In 2.
in 2 still.
Yeah. You think
So
it
there was
could've
a lot
kept
left
that.
over.
Yeah.
An envious fellow saw all this, stole lightly around the other side of the wall, cut off the knight's head, and cast it into the sea, and bade the beautiful Princess Paliusha tell her father, the king, that he had saved her.
Who the fuck is this envious guy?
He swore that if she did not say this, he would strangle her.
Whoa.
There was nothing to be done. Paliusha wept and wept as they went to her father, the
God.
king.
They
The
just
king came
killed-
out to meet them. She told him that at once She told him that this fellow had saved her. The king was enormously happy and at once set about the preparations for the wedding feast. Guests arrived from foreign lands, kings, czars, and princes, and all of them drank and amused themselves. The princess alone was sad. She would go into a corner behind the barn and shed burning tears for her bold knight.
Right, her tears are
They
burning
burn,
with
yeah.
kindness, with sweetness.
It occurred to her to ask her father to send fishermen to catch the fish in the sea. And she herself went with them. They cast a net and drew out fish, an enormous quantity. She examined them and said, "No, that is not the fish I want." They cast another net and dragged out the head and trunk of the bold knight. Paliusha rushed to him, found a phial with the water of life in his breast pocket.
Oh, true.
Placed the head on the body.
Oh, true.
And wet it with the water from the phial.
Whoa.
And he came to life.
His head attached itself to him.
Yeah, that's how the water of life works.
Right.
She told him how she loathed the man who wanted to take her. The knight comforted her and told her to go home. Later he would come himself and set things right. So the knight came to the royal palace and found all the guests drunk, sporting, and dancing. He declared that he could sing songs in various modes. I can sing songs in various modes.
Just by the way, at the party.
The guests were pleased at this idea and asked him to sing. First, he sang for them a gay song, full of jests and old saws. And the guests were all charmed.
It's called 360.
It's called 365.
365, yeah.
I
have a karaoke machine in my car. That's the party. I got a karaoke machine in my car. You guys want me to bring it in? I could just do a couple songs.
What do you guys want to sing? I do Weird Al.
I have a couple gay songs.
All the guests were charmed and praised him for singing so well. Then he sang a song so sad that all the guests burst into tears. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Everybody's crying.
So sad.
All the guests burst into tears. The knight asked the king, Who saved your daughter? The king pointed out the envious fellow. Well, king, said the knight, let us go to the fortress with all your guests. If he can find the dragon's heads there, I will believe that he saved Princess Paliusha. All of them went to the fortress. The fellow pulled and pulled, but could not pull out even one head. It was far beyond his strength, but the knight pulled them out as soon as he tried. Then the princess told the whole truth about who saved her. Everyone realized that the bold knight had saved the king's daughter, and the fellow was tied to the tail of a horse and dragged over a field till he died. The envious fellow.
Yeah.
The king wanted to marry the bold knight to his daughter.
Right. That's you really left that on it. I was really surprised. Oh, interesting. Back on.
But the knight said, No, king, I don't need anything from you. Only take me back to our bright world. I have not yet finished my mission for my father.
Oh, true.
He is still waiting for me to bring him the water of life, for he is blind.
Side mission is so long.
The king did not know how to take the knight up to the bright world, and his daughter did not want to part from him. She wanted to go up with him.
Right.
She told her father that there was a spoon-billed bird that could take them there, provided she had enough to feed it on the way.
I just need food for the spoon-billed bird that'll take us up to the land of light.
Dang. Okay, wait, look at this picture.
Whoa, and then it's like...
I don't know who that is,
It's
but
like...
they're playing a little guitar.
It's like 9 guys or something.
There's a bunch of guys, yeah. So Paliusha had a whole ox killed and took it with her as a store of food for the spoonbill. She and the knight had said farewell to the underground king. Pretty much us, pretty much underground kings.
Yeah.
She and the knight said farewell to the underground king, seated themselves on the bird's back, and set out for God's bright world. When they gave more food to the bird, it flew upward faster. Thus, they used up the whole ox to feed it. Now they were perplexed and afraid lest the bird should drop them down again. So Paliusha cut off a piece of her thigh and gave it to the spoonbill.
To feed the bird.
Yeah.
Damn. That's really cool of her.
If
I was hanging out with someone and they did that.
Yeah, your wife keeps being like, no, I'll cut off my part of my thigh.
I just keep looking at my thighs like, whoa, okay. Should I? Is it rude of me to not want to cut off my thigh for her?
The bird straightway brought them up to this world and said, Throughout our journey you fed me well, but never in my life did I taste anything sweeter than that last morsel.
Right.
Paliusha showed the bird her thigh, and the bird moaned and spat out the piece.
Oh, gross, dude. I didn't know it was your thigh.
It was still whole.
Should you just attach it, you think?
The knight put it on Paliusha's thigh, wet it with the water of life, and healed the princess.
I knew the water of life was about to come in. They love.
I keep thinking, wait, did they use all the water?
They have a lot.
I think they have, quite a bit.
They got a
At
gallon.
least like a flask or something.
Yeah.
Then they went home. The father, the king of the land in our own world, met them and was overjoyed to see them. The knight saw that his father had grown younger from having the apples, but that he was still blind.
You look good, Father. If only your blindness could...
Oh, Dad, that's so cool how you're younger than me now.
Oh, Dad, it's
wow.
Cool. You're great.
You look
awesome.
so hot now.
You
I
look
was
so
in
hot.
I was in the hell world where people only saw by firelight. But yeah, you look great, Dad.
You look good. You look a day over 22. Whoa. You going to college again?
The knight at once anointed his father's eyes with the water of life. The king began to see. He embraced his son, the bold knight, and the princess from the dark kingdom. The knight told how his brothers had taken his apples and thrown him into the netherworld. The brothers were so frightened that they jumped into the river. And the knight married the princess Paliusha and gave a most wonderful feast. I dined and drank meat with them, and their cabbage was toothsome. Even now I could eat some.
What a victory. What a victory lap that last line was.
I'm glad I warned you that might happen.
Yeah.
That the guy might go, and they threw a really big party, and I was at the party.
That's
Me,
awesome.
the person who has not been in the story at all.
Yeah.
I was actually at that party.
Yeah. That's cool. Good for him.
Yeah.
That's good.
But that one, yeah, those are both pretty
That was
long.
really awesome. What was that one called again?
That was the Bold Knight and the Apples of Youth, the Apples of Youth and the Water of Life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right. I
They're
remember all three of those.
They're all coming into play.
Yeah. Brothers are weird. They're evil sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe we could hit a real short one and then close out, maybe.
Can I pause it?
Yeah. We're back.
We're back.
Peasant and the corpse.
That's what we're on. The peasant and the
So there's gonna be
corpse.
what do you think the peasant's gonna do with the corpse?
Oh, this one's really small. Well, I think it's gonna be like a rich guy's body, and he's gonna something about grave robbing.
I
feel
bet
like-
it's gonna be smelly. That's my only-
Okay,
that's my
that's
only
a good
prediction.
idea.
But yeah.
That seems good. Okay. The peasant and the corpse. A peasant was driving a cart full of pottery. His horse got tired and stopped near a graveyard. The peasant unharnessed it, let it graze, and lay down to rest on a grave, but somehow could not fall asleep. Suddenly, the grave under him began to open.
Right.
Feeling this, he jumped to his feet. The grave opened, and out of it came a corpse, holding a coffin lid and dressed in a white shroud. The corpse ran to the church, put the coffin lid in the doorway, and went to the village. Our peasant was a courageous man. He took the coffin lid and stood near his cart, waiting to see what would happen next. After a while, the corpse came back and discovered that his coffin lid was gone. He began to follow the tracks and reached the peasant and said, "Give me back my coffin lid, or I will tear you to pieces." "And what is my axe for?" the peasant answered. "I will cut you to pieces myself. Please, my good man, give it back to me," the corpse implored. "I will not give it to you," said the peasant, "unless you tell me where you have been and what you have done." "I was in the village, and I killed 2 young fellows there." "Now tell me how they can be brought back to life." That's the other guy. I'm gonna do voices now. Willy
Yeah,
nilly.
wait, start all over and do a real
Corpse voice.
Yeah, do a corpse
Yeah.
voice for him.
"Give me back my coffin lid, or I will tear you to pieces." "And what is my axe for?" "I will cut you to pieces myself." "Please, my good man, give it back. Please, my good man, give it back to me." "I will not give it to you," said the peasant. He still sounds like that. "I will not give it to you unless you tell me where you have been and what you've done." "I was in the village and I killed 2 young fellows there. I killed 2 young fellows there." "Now tell me what can be done to bring them back to life." Willy-nilly, the corpse had to comply. "Cut the left flap from my shroud and take it with you. When you come to the house of the murdered men, fill a pot with burning coal."
Okay. Are you sure this will work?
"Put the piece of shroud in it and close the door. The smoke will bring them back to life at once." The peasant cut off the left flap of the shroud and returned the coffin lid. The corpse went back to his grave, and the grave opened. He began to descend into it, when suddenly the cocks crowed, and he had no time to cover himself properly. One end of the coffin lid remained outside. The peasant saw and took note of all this. Daybreak came. He harnessed his horse and drove it to the village. He heard lamentations and cries in one house. He entered it and found that 2 young fellows were dead there. "Do not weep," he said. "I can bring them back to life." "Do bring them back to life," said the parents.
Please.
"Please, do bring them back to life. We will give you half of our possessions."
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good come
I'm
up.
glad I held out.
Side hustle.
A little bit.
A little hustle. A little hustle. Side hustle.
I was going to do it for free, but I do like the idea of you guys giving me half your possessions.
The peasants did as the corpse
That'd
had
be
told
good for
him,
you guys.
and the 2 young fellows came back to life. It worked. Their families were overjoyed, but at once seized the peasant and tied him with ropes. "Now, you wise man," they said, "we shall take you to the authorities. Since you knew how to bring them back to life, you surely killed them too."
Oh.
"Ah, ye faithful, don't ye fear God?" cried the peasant.
But the coffin was a little bit open.
And he told them everything that had happened to him during the night. The villagers were called together. The people went to the graveyard, found the grave with which the corpse had emerged, dug it up, and thrust a spike of aspen wood straight into his heart, so that he could no longer rise up and kill people. The peasant was richly rewarded and allowed to return home in peace.
Yes.
Pretty cool story for the peasant. Pretty big L for the corpse.
Yeah, everybody's like, again?
Shit.
They're like, wait, do we have a stake of aspen wood?
This one's pretty good too. This one's pretty short. You want to do the errant fool?
Do you want to do it?
You can get it.
The errant fool. In a certain family, there was an errant fool. Not a day passed on which they did not receive complaints about him. Every day, he would either insult someone or injure someone.
Yeah, we know. We all know a guy like this.
We all have this member of the family.
The errant fool.
The fool's mother pitied him and looked after him as if he were a little child. Whenever the fool made ready to go somewhere, she would explain to him for half an hour what he should do and how he should do it. One day the fool went by the threshing barn and saw the peasants threshing peas and cried to them, "May you thresh for 3 days and get 3 peas threshed."
That's not a lot, right?
Because he said this, the peasants belabored him with their flails. The fool came back to his mother and cried, Mother, they have beaten up a fellow." "Was it you, my child?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I went by Dormadidoshkin's barn and his family were threshing peas there. And then, my child, and I said to them, 'May you thresh for 3 days and get 3 peas threshed.' That's why they beat me up." Oh my child, you should have said, 'May you have to do this forever and ever.'"
What?
The fool was overjoyed. Yeah, she gave him a better roast.
Oh yeah, she was like, be wicked with them.
I think so. I don't know. Yeah.
May you be cursed with doing this forever.
But then I think, and then if you're a Russian farmer, you go, "Oh, God willing,
Yeah.
I would. That would be great."
Right.
But it's still a roast. I don't know.
I don't know.
The fool was overjoyed. The next day he went to walk in the village and met some people carrying a coffin with a dead man in it. Remembering his mother's words, he roared in a loud voice, "May you have to carry this forever and ever." Again, he was soundly thrashed. He keeps getting thrashed.
Right.
The fool returned to his mother and told her why he had been beaten up. "Ah, my child," she said, "you should have said, 'May he rest in peace eternal.'"
Right, there's so many stories where like a guy goes to his family members and he's like, "These guys did this really mean thing to me," and then he
They're
always
just
just
like...
says the exact same thing his family members say to him in the scenario. There's just so many stories like that.
You should have said, "May he rest in peace eternal." These words sank deep into the fool's mind. Yeah.
Right.
All fools listening, may all the words we're saying sink deep into your mind. Next day, he happened again to walk in the village and met a gay wedding procession.
Right.
Oh no.
A
What's he gonna say? What's the gay guy gonna say? The fool cleared his throat, and as soon as he came up to the procession, he cried, "May you rest in peace eternal!"
Oh no, he said...
The drunken peasants jumped down from their cart and beat him up cruelly. The fool went home and cried, "Oh, my dear mother, they've beaten me up terribly." "What for, my child?" the fool told her. His mother said, "My child, you should have danced and played for them." "Thank you, mother," he said. He went to the village once more and took his reed pipe with him. At the end of the village, a corn loft was on fire.
Oh no.
The fool ran there as fast as he could. He stopped in front of the corn loft and began to dance and to play his reed pipe. Play on his reed pipe.
Right, people are gonna hate that. They hate when you do that.
Again, he was thrashed.
Right, dude, you can't go to the 9/11 memorial.
Again, he came in tears to his mother and told her why he had been beaten up. His
Mom,
mother
I brought
said,
my sitar.
"You should have taken some water and helped them quench the fire."
Right.
3 days later, when the fool's sides were healed, he went again in the village. He went again to walk in the village. He saw a peasant singeing a pig. The fool snatched a pail of water from a woman who was going by her cowl staff, ran to the peasant, and poured the water over the fire. Again, he was soundly thrashed. Again, he returned to his mother and told her why he had been beaten up. Then his mother swore never again to let him go to the village. And until this day, he has never gone farther than his own backyard.
Right, that's a good move from his mom.
And that's why we don't let people who are dumb out.
Right.
You gotta stay
Moral
inside.
of the story is don't
go to town.
let your foolish...
If you're too dumb,
don't put them in school.
don't go to
homeschool
town.
your kids if they're really dumb.
Just
don't,
let them hang out in the backyard.
Don't let them go to public
They could
school.
be in the backyard.
They don't let them in. If you send them into public school, they'll get made. They'll get what's it called? Thrashed. In public
He's
school,
getting
you will
thrashed.
get thrashed.
He's not even going to school though. He's just
I
going
know,
to town.
but that's what the closest thing is for a kid.
We have town.
Yes, we have town.
If you go to town, you're just at Walmart.
Yeah, you're just going to
You're
town.
too dumb to go to... Some people are too dumb to go to Walmart.
You can't go to
handle it.
Randall's
Some
or-
people can't handle it.
Yeah, that's fair.
You gotta get your mom to do it.
You gotta get
Go
your
talk
mom.
to your mom. She's probably really nice.
She's probably just trying to help you.
Yeah.
Well,
So that was the errant fool.
yeah, he was definitely errant, for
I
sure.
kind of relate to him.
I kind of relate to his mom.
Whoa.
Wow. Great moral for both of those stories. Really.
Yeah. Keep
I like the short ones. They're really pretty much just like jokes. That were really like, because that one's just that one joke that where the
He
kid
keeps saying the wrong thing.
he goes to the
And then
principal's office and he says "F you" because
Kids
his
say
mom
the
said,
darndest things.
Yeah.
Kids say the darndest things, especially if they're fools who are in their 30s.
There's like one of them where this kid ends up like hanging from hangs from like a ceiling fan or something. I remember that joke. It goes like that. It's like
He hangs from the ceiling.
Or he like tells the principal something, and the principal and he pulls down his pants, and there's a whole
Oh yeah.
some joke like that where it just is all stuff like his grandpa was taking a shit, and so the kid said something that the grandpa said when he was taking a shit.
Do you want to do the fox and the woodpecker?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, but really think about what the fox's voice is going to be and what the woodpecker's voice is going to be.
Oh, the
It's
next
just
one
that
looks
page.
cool too. It's called the Snotty Goat. Okay, the fox is gonna be like, he's gonna be smooth like this.
What's the woodpecker going to be like?
And the woodpecker's gonna be like, hey!
Okay, right, like the Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah. There was once a woodpecker who built her nest in an oak tree, laid 3 eggs, and hatched 3 young. A fox took to visiting their tree. She wrapped the mossy oak with her long tail and said, "Woodpecker!" Oh wait, this is I already fucked. This is the fox.
And they're both women.
They're both women, I just realized. That's why I was...
Pretty cool.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Right, so
The Bechdel test.
a fox took to visiting their tree. She rapped the mossy oak with her long tail and said, "Woodpecker, come down the oak. I need oak for my tools." "Hey, little fox," answered the woodpecker, "you wouldn't let me hatch even with one little child." "Hey, woodpecker, throw him down. I'll teach him the blacksmith's trade." The woodpecker threw down one young one, and the fox ran from bush to bush, from tree to tree, and ate up the young woodpecker.
Yeah, he's not going to teach us the blacksmith's trade.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know what the woodpecker was saying.
I don't think the fox knows how to do blacksmith.
I don't know what the woodpecker was. Again, she went to the woodpecker and rapped the mossy oak with her long tail and said, "Woodpecker, climb down the oak. I need oak wood for my tools." "Hey, little fox," answered the woodpecker, "you wouldn't let me hatch even one little child." "Hey, woodpecker, throw him down. I will teach him the cobbler's trade." The woodpecker threw
the most tempting offer. Oh, I wish. Oh, man.
My woodpecker child.
My deepest, darkest desire.
The cobbler's trade.
Dang.
"Oh, little woodpecker, I will teach your son screenwriting." Send him to my house.
Bro, y'all are animals. Y'all don't wear shoes.
The woodpecker threw down another young one, and the fox ran from bush to bush, from tree to tree, and ate up the young woodpecker.
No.
Again, she went to the woodpecker and rapped the mossy oak with her long tail and said, "Woodpecker, climb down the oak. I need oak for my tools." "Hey, little fox," answered the woodpecker, "you wouldn't let me hatch even one little child." "Hey, woodpecker, throw him down. I'll teach him the tailor's trade." The woodpecker threw down the last young one, and the fox ran from bush to bush, from trees to trees, and ate him up. That's the end of the story.
Dang. Yeah, don't
let
your
fox,
children learn trades.
Yeah, don't let the fox.
You might think it's tempting to let your children learn a tailor's trade,
but
but you should just let them be woodpeckers because you're a woodpecker. Because also the person isn't even really a cobbler; they're
a fox, right? So like that's a big mistake on your part.
Yeah.
Don't let your kids learn trades from weird people who are asking to teach them.
They might eat them.
Yeah.
Metaphorically. But also, yeah, sort of like that Nickelodeon.
Oh, woodpecker.
Yeah.
I can teach your kids HVAC. HVAC repair.
Don't you want your children to be on all that?
Mm-hmm.
So, much to ponder, much to think about. We'll be back with more next time.
Books.